we are going to talk about Bhagavad Gita. I'm not sure whether you have heard about Bhagavad Gita. It's a, it's a, it's a dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna, and it's a spiritual text which has been delivered. The spiritual teachings which has been delivered in the midst of a war, and uh, and it's very much relevant to our lives. It's very much practical, though it was delivered about 6,500 years before, but still we find it very relevant in our lives. And with our Vedanta teachings, we also preach, and we also discuss, we also practice Bhagavad Gita, because it is one of the very rarest spiritual text which does not deny the world. Like in any spiritual text or any spiritual knowledge, it starts after the world is denied. When everything has been denied, and then you have this search for God, or you have the search for the ultimate. You have the search for attaining enlightenment. Then you come to the master, and that is how a spiritual development happens. But here, Lord Krishna takes into account all the sufferings, all the struggles that we have in our life, and this is how he considers our struggles, our pain, our sufferings as real, and through this pain and sufferings, he shows us the way by which we can go beyond sufferings. We can go beyond our mental destructions. We can go beyond our mental sufferings. So that is why it has become very important for everybody in this world to understand and to dwell into the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. And I'm very happy that we have assembled here for practicing Bhagavad Gita. But because you are a student of yoga, and we have been practicing spirituality, and the main purpose of spirituality is to attain the state of yoga. Now, what is the definition of yoga? Yoga, this word, as you call it yoga, in India it's called yoga. Yoga is yoga. So yoga means union with the divine. So when we say that it's a union with the divine, that means we are not united, and we need to be united. And when we need to be united, that means we need to undergo a process. We need to start an effort by which we can get united with the divine. Or it's not possible for us to get united with the divine spontaneously or automatically. So there are three meanings of yoga. The first meaning of yoga is that I just mentioned, and that is union with the self, union with the divine. The second meaning of yoga is a state called super conscious state. Like, we know about three stages of our life, or three states of our life. One is conscious, other is subconscious, and the third is unconscious. So conscious state means the state in which we are. We are conscious because we are conscious about everything around us. We are conscious about our body. We are conscious about our mind. We are conscious about our intellect, our ego, as well as everything that is happening around us. That is this phenomena which we call this world. We are conscious about this world, or this universe, universe at large. This is the first stage of ours. The second stage is subconscious stage, where we are not conscious about our body. We are not conscious about the external world, but we are conscious about the internal world, that is the mind. So, there are certain aspects of the mind which is always, unmanifested. It's there, but it's not seen. So, we slip into a state, we go into a state where we can see what is there in our mind in the subconscious level. And that is called subconscious mind, or you can say it as dream. So the next state of ours is the dreaming state. And the third stage, is sleeping, deep slumber, where we don't have any consciousness about our environment, about our, about our surroundings, about our body, about our mind, or our thoughts, or our ego, whatever. So, that is a state which is completely unknown to us. We go into that state, but we do not know anything till we come back and we discover that our sleep was either good or either bad. So these are the three states in which we are, always dwelling. Now, in case of conscious state, when I say that I'm conscious means I am conscious because I can see everything around me. I'm conscious about things around me. I'm conscious about the body and the mind. But this consciousness happens because of a consciousness. I'm conscious. I'm aware about things which is around me. I'm aware about, I'm aware about things which is around me because of a consciousness. But in the state of, in a state of this consciousness, I'm not aware about that consciousness. I'm aware about everything by which, everything which the consciousness shows me, but I'm not aware about the consciousness. So, that means this state of consciousness is not full consciousness. It's a partial consciousness. Because with this consciousness, I can see things around, I can see things, which is within me, but I cannot see the consciousness by which I am aware about everything. It's like, I see everything through light. Because of light, I can see everything. But I see everything, but I am not aware about the light by which I see everything. I don't see the light. I see only the objects around me. So, here also, I see every object, but I don't see the consciousness by which I am aware about this or about these objects. And that is why this conscious state is not a full conscious state. It's a partial conscious state. And then, the same thing applies with the dreaming state, where I am aware about things which I'm dreaming, which I'm seeing in my dream, but I am not aware about the consciousness by which I am aware about the things that I see in the dream. So there also the consciousness is not full; it's also partial. And in a sleeping state, I'm not aware about anything. So that state is also called unconscious state. So actually, we dwell within a partial conscious state, a subconscious state, and an unconscious state. But there is a state of full consciousness, and that is called superconscious state. So this superconscious state is also termed as samadhi in Vedantic terms or in spiritual terms. If you study this Patanjali Yoga Sutra, you will see that there are two kinds of samadhis that the Patanjali Yoga Sutra describes. The first one is the sampragyata samadhi, and the other is asampragyata samadhi. So these two samadhis that the Patanjali Yoga Sutra describes, it describes about the extent of nearness with the divine. When I am in the sampragyata samadhi, I am not completely mingled into the divine. There is a separation, but because I have already started a journey, I have some kind of knowledge. I have some kind of knowledge of the divine, but it's not full. So there is another samadhi which is called asampragyata samadhi. That is when I'm completely mingled into the self. I'm completely dissolved into the self. my individuality or my individual self is completely dissolved into the universal self, and that is called the the asampragyata samadhi, or it's also called nirvikalpa samadhi in some other spiritual texts. So this state, the super conscious state, is the actual is the actual yoga. This is the actual yoga, to attain the state of super consciousness. And then there is another state, there's another definition of yoga, and that is the means of our living. Whatever we need, like the basic needs of our living is food, shelter, and clothing. So these this means and ends which we need for our life is also called yoga. So yoga has three definitions. One is completely absorbed, completely dissolved, mingled into the self. The next is attaining the state of super consciousness, where I'm completely conscious about the consciousness by which I become conscious about this world. And the third is my means and ends. So when we talk about yoga, actually, it talks about the you know the mixing or the union with the self. So in the Bhagavad Gita, because today is the first day, let us talk about the relationship the Bhagavad Gita has with yoga, and that is how we can we approach in a better way. So in the Bhagavad Gita it says that Shruti vi pratipanna te yada sthashati nischala samadha vachala buddhistada yogam avapsasi. It says that when we are in this world, there are so many things that we listen. We listen to our parents, we listen to our friends, we listen to our neighbors, we listen to our people in the job, we listen to every other people in the media, as well as in the scriptures. There's so many scriptures, there's so many types of scriptures, there's so many variety of spiritual knowledges. So there is all this informations which comes to us always. So in these informations, while these informations comes to us, what happens is that we become distracted. Sometimes we think that this is good, sometimes we think that is good, and that is how we approach this to that in this way. And when we do this, we get completely distracted. We land into a no man's land, where we see ourselves completely lost, because we've heard so many things from people, we've heard so many things from any other every other person which we meet, that we become completely perturbed and disturbed, and we don't know, we cannot figure out which way to take, and thus we end up landing into a no man's land. So here it says that whenever you are hearing everything, when you are hearing so many informations which comes to you, in this state, when you are very prone to get completely distracted, when you are completely vulnerable, in this state also, if you can keep your mind very calm, if you can keep your mind very still, and you can remember about your own prerogative, you can remember, and you can keep your own priority always steady. If you can have a very steady approach, you can have a very steady goal, that this is what my goal is, and I need to go to, and I need to attain this goal. I don't need to get involved or get distracted in so many informations. If I can keep myself very very straight, and very concentrated, and very still, even when I am exposed to so many informations, then it says samadha vachala buddhistada yogam avapsasi. Then what happens? My mind, with the help of attaining samadhi, my mind attains the state of supreme yoga. So yoga is not at all difficult. Attaining the state of yoga is not at all difficult. The only thing is that we need to know which path we have to take. And the path is it's not given by somebody else. It's within us. And what is that? We all follow that, and that is the more we get concentrated within ourselves, the more we become diligent in searching who we are in this whole universe. In this whole universe, things attracts us. We get distracted, and we always think, which one is me? What is me? Where am I in this whole phenomena? Where am I? So in this phenomena, when you are very close to losing yourself, if you can keep your mind awake, if you can keep your mind awake, and if you can always seek what you really want, that is, I want to know, who am I want to know from where did I come, and I want to know what is the goal of my life. If you can keep this very still within your mind, you are going to attain the state of yoga. And that yoga means attaining the state of enlightenment, attaining the state of liberation from the fears, liberation from all kinds of mental distortions, liberation from all kinds of mental distractions, liberation from all kinds of inhibitions, all kinds of preoccupations, all kinds of jealousy, hatred, this greed, anger, liberation from this. And then we can see that we have attained a state of serenity. We have attained a state of complete calmness. We have attained the state of complete silence. So yoga is the state by which we attain the state of serenity, we attain the state of calmness, we attain the state of supreme peace, supreme silence within us, remaining in this body, not leaving this body, remaining in this body. So now this is the goal of our life. Now in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the first thing that the Patanjali Yoga Sutra says is, it gives the definition of yoga. What is yoga? What is yoga? It says yoga chitta vritti nirodha. That is, yoga means when your mind is completely stopped. The thoughts which erupts from the mind, chitta vritti. Vritti means thoughts. Where from the thoughts comes? The thoughts are, it comes from the mind stuff. Like we see our mind, but this mind is, is formed somewhere else. Like, how do we have these thoughts? Where from these thoughts comes? We don't know. We only see when a thought is formed and it comes to our awareness. But we don't know from where did this thought come. This thought comes from a place called chitta. That is mind stuff. From where, the mind originates. From where the mind originates. It's like a pool. It's like a pool from where the mind originates. And from that place, this thought comes, which is, about which we are completely unaware. And slowly, we become aware about that. And, that is how we come to this state of, we see these thoughts. So Patanjali says, the first, aphorism, it says, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. That is, yoga means when you can completely stop this process of the formation of thoughts from the chitta or the mind stuff. Now, how it is possible? How it is possible? So, when it says this, it talks about the 5 stages of our mind. The first stage of our mind is called Shipta. That is, just see when we wake up and we become aware that we have, we are already awake. What happens? Instantly we see our mind is scattered everywhere in the external world. We need to do this, we need to do that. We're thinking about this, we are thinking about that. Instantly it gets scattered. So this is the first step. That is, the mind gets scattered. This is called the first stage of the mind. It's called, it's called Shipta. The second stage is when the mind gets scattered into this world. It doesn't stay scattered. It starts to bind with each and every object in which it gets scattered. Like, I become awake, and then I see things in front of me. I see people, I see objects, and my mind gets scattered into those people, those objects, and everywhere. It's not only that. It starts to create new thoughts. It starts to create new, new. It starts to create new, new objects. It starts to create new world with by becoming attached to all those objects. So this this tendency of the mind to get scattered, and then get it, then get attached to each and every object, and then creating new worlds, new arena, new agendas, is called Vikshipta. That is, our mind does not remain ours. It becomes somebody else's. Like when it goes and gets mixed with things, it starts to get mixed with them, and it creates objects. Means, it's not in my control at all. It has gone out, and it has started to make new agendas, new in its own world. So we lose control over the mind. So this part is called Vikshipta. And when it happens, what happens? We become completely bewildered. We don't know which way to go. We don't know what to choose. We only choose the things that comes to us at the first place, but we are not sure whether this what comes to us is the right path. And we just follow what comes to us. So like a very senseless objects, like a very senseless beings, we start behaving unconsciously. We are not conscious about that. We think that we are all right, we are fine. But what are we doing? We are actually following the mind, and we are actually following the composition of mind and the objects, and that is what we think as truth, and we follow them. We run after them, and ultimately we'll end up in a place where we find ourselves completely lost, we lose everything. At many times we get depressed. So this state is called Mura, that is senseless. We lose control over ourselves, and we become senseless. We do things which is completely insensible. Now, this is what the world is. This is, if you look around this world, you will see everybody more or less is like this. They are in the advent of these three parts of the mind: Shipta, Vikshipta, and Mura. They're in the effect. They're in the effect of these three stages of the mind. Now within these within when people are all completely lost, and they have become completely senseless, within this there are some people who wants to find respite. There are some people who wants to find the right path, who wants to find out what is the reality. Is it the reality what I'm seeing or what I'm experiencing, or there is some other reality which I'm not aware of, at all. So these are the people. There are some very few, there are very rare people who wants to know the reality. What is the truth? Is it the truth? Every day I'm just running after things. Every morning the day starts, and I run after things, and in the night I see I'm lost. And then again the next day, and I do the same thing, and again the next day, and I do the same thing. I'm just repeating it again and again. And this is what is called insane. It's also in the language of in the language of psychology, it says that when you do some stuff repeatedly, repeatedly expecting, different results. This is called insanity. So we are all insane or insensible. So in this state, when people are completely insane, within these people, there are very few rare people who wants to know what is the truth. And these are the people who gets connected with some enlightened souls. They get connected with some enlightened souls. They get connected with people who can show them the right path. And what is the path that they show? The path that they show is, you know, is ekagra. The path that they show is ekagra. Ekagra means concentration. Concentration, or becoming, focusing in one point. My mind was, focused in, you know, in a variety of things. My mind was completely, in a multitude of things. It was divided. My focus was divided everywhere, and that is what, brought me into the state where I find myself completely lost. Now, when I go to a real spiritual master, a master who is enlightened, or a person who knows the way, or the person who knows what is the truth. Because if I really, seek for a new path, if I really seek for a respite, if I really seek for, for transformation, for my, for my liberation from this state of getting completely lost, I am bound to get connected with somebody or the other who knows the path. This is also natural. It's also natural. So, I get connected with a person who is, who is adept to this knowledge. And what does it teach me? He teaches me to become concentrated. Concentrate within yourself. Concentrate in one point. He talks us about meditation, concentration. When we start to concentrate into one point, leaving the focus of each and everything where, where we were all lost, we just concentrate into one point, then we find ourselves, then we start to find ourselves, then we start to find peace, then we start to regain our lost, lost values, then we start to regain our lost, energy, then we start to regain our lost, lost consciousness, lost self, that we are lost. We start to regain our lost individuality. And this state of concentration takes me to the fifth state of the mind, and that is called nirodha. Nirodha means completely, completely separation from these thoughts, completely separating myself from this, from this distractions from the mind. Or, nirodha means blocking, stopping. The whole mind stops. When the whole mind stops, I discover consciousness within me. I discover that I am that supreme consciousness. I am that supreme being. I was completely deluded. Like, like we see a snake in the rope. We see a rope in the dark, but we get deluded as if it's a snake. So I was completely deluded about myself. I thought that I am the mind. I thought that I'm the body. I thought that I am connected with this world. I thought that I'm related to each and every person who are around me. But in reality, I am completely separate from everything. I am one with the divine. I am the divine. I am that supreme consciousness. I am that supreme peace. I am that supreme silence, that calmness. So when I come to the state, nirodha, that is about coming to the state of, the state of liberation, state of yoga, state of samadhi, state of complete enlightenment. And that is the, that is the goal of our life. The goal of our life has been accomplished. Now, for this whole thing, to do this, what do we need? What do we need? We need a very serene mind. We need to have complete control over our mind. But this is very, this is very difficult to have complete, control over our mind. And that is what, at one point, Arjuna, in the Bhagavad Gita, it's a dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna. So Arjuna, that is what Arjuna was. He is the disciple, he's the learner, and Krishna is the teacher, is the master. So Arjuna is, is asking Krishna. What is he saying? Chanchala hi mana Krishna pramati balavadrida tasyaham nigraham manye vayuriva sudushkaram. He says, oh Krishna, this mind is so, it's so, it's so restless. This mind is so restless, and it's very strong. It's not, it's not weak. It doesn't listen to me. It makes my complete, complete concentration break. It steals away my concentration. So it's very strong, and it makes me revolve around the mind again and again. Though I know that this mind is destruction, but I cannot help, I cannot help myself from following the mind. And I don't know any other way by which I can stop myself from following the mind. Chanchala hi mana Krishna pramati balavadrida tasyaham nigraham manye. When I think about controlling my mind, I feel that Vayu Riva Sudushkaram. I feel that controlling my mind is as good as controlling the wind. Can we control the wind? It's impossible, isn't it? So he says that, when we talk about controlling the mind, it means that, it means that, we want to control the wind, which is not possible. So, so Krishna, the Lord, the master, he says, Ashanshayam Mahabaho Mana Durnigraham Chalam. He says, no doubt what you're saying is true. It's true that it's very difficult to control the mind, because it does not stay in one point. Now it is in New York, the next point it will be in New Jersey, next point it will be in Australia, next point it will be in India. You don't know. Okay, means including this chanting, Yuri.
Yes.
20 minutes.
Yes. All together.
Chanting, no?
Chanting
okay.
is a Q&A.
I'm just concluding what I'm going to say. Okay, so Ashanshayam Mahabaho Mana Durnigraham Achalam. It's true. Whatever you are saying, it's true that the mind is very difficult to control. The mind is very difficult to control, and because it's very restless. Abhyasa Yogena Ashanshayam Mahabhavo Mana Durnigram Achalam Abhyasa Yogena to Konteya Vairagyena Chagrijate. He says, but there's a way. What is the way? The way is to practice. The way is to practice, and Vairagya. Vairagya means dispassionate, becoming dispassionate about this world. So when we talk about becoming dispassionate about this world, it means that we need to shift our focus from this world to something else, or we have to completely disregard everything which comes our way. We have to close our eyes. We have to shut our mind, because because of our eyes or because of our mind, we get attracted to this world. So if we have to become dispassionate, we need to completely shut our senses, because these are the five senses, eyes, ears, tongue, nose, and skin, through which we get connected with this world. So if we want to completely disconnect ourselves from this world, it means we have to shut our senses. But it's not like that. That is not being dispassionate. Dispassionate means to to seek the truth, to be sincere to the search for truth. That is called the real, that is called the real being dispassionate. You have to increase your search for truth, for quest of truth. You have to increase this interest for truth. You have to increase your, your passion for attaining, to know what is the reality. What is the reality and where do I stand? And what is the way by which I can just get rid of this? While I stay in this world, I stay calm, I stay grounded. So, this is what Bhagavad Gita will teach us. How to be grounded in this world by being in this state of duality, by being in the state of chaos. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishati. It says, if you can keep your mind very still, very concentrated, even when you are in a state of complete distraction, when you are in the midst of complete distraction, if you can keep yourself very calm, very controlled, very quiet, tada gantasi nirvedam srotabhyasya sutasya, then only you attain that state where you don't need anything to listen, you don't need anything to follow. That means you have attained that state of supreme yoga. So in our next classes we'll start, this was just an introduction. In our next class, in our next meeting, we are going to discuss at length about Bhagavad Gita from the second chapter, how we can make ourselves passionate about the search for truth, being in this reality of chaos, being in this in this world, being in this in this reality of non-real. Okay, so thank you very much. So today we have, if you want, we can meditate for 5 minutes, and then I have my boys here who are going to chant Vedic mantras for you. If you want, you can have 5 minutes of meditation. Yuri?
Yes, Swamiji, I think it would be good to sit for meditation to absorb all these things.